It's me.
Ms. Crockett.
I'm just curious, just to better understand your ruling.
is.
If someone on this committee then starts talking about somebody's bleach blonde, bad built butch body, that would not be engaging in personalities, correct?
A what now?
So Merrick Garland is facing contempt of Congress charges after the president was informed by Mr. Garland that he did not have to reveal audio tapes from the Robert Hur special counsel that showed his interview, his voluntary interview, mind you, with the special counsel over the classified documents probe. This was an instance where President Biden had classified documents stored in his parking garage, and then once the government made him aware of it, he handed all the documents back and then did an interview with the special counsel to explain why he had the documents in the first place, and if anybody could have taken them, etc. Now, the special counsel determined that there was no charges that could be brought against Biden. That was the special counsel's determination. There was a bunch of speculation on his health and his age and stuff that the special counsel, number one, probably shouldn't be speculating on, and number two, doesn't have all the information to even speculate on if it wanted to. But the big conclusion was that there was no charges to bring against Biden, which is not good if you're Republicans trying to make it like Trump's got cases, Biden's got cases, it's all the same, which I think is where a lot of this effort is coming from. So it's still been aggressively pursued, even if just to create the appearance of criminality. And even if there was a crime committed, we have yet to find any evidence of it. So even if there is a crime, we have yet to be presented evidence of a crime. In fact, when you ask Republican what crime did Biden commit, you cannot really get a straight answer or any specific answer. So what the Republicans have decided to do is try to pursue the audio from that interview from the Robert Hur special counsel that Biden decided to do voluntarily. Now, the idea is that this interview would show some secret information that Biden doesn't want getting out. The problem is that the transcripts for that interview have already been public for a while. And so everything that Biden said during that interview is already public knowledge. So why do they want the tapes? Well, the idea would be that if they get the tapes, maybe there's some, maybe the all 5 hours of the interview is just Biden so Biden, what do you think of Hunter? He's just deficient in the brain. And so maybe they can use that audio to campaign against him or show him to be mentally deficient. The problem is, though, he already has the transcript out there, and he doesn't have to release these tapes. And so Merrick Garland told him that they were covered by executive privilege. Therefore, the president could restrict those tapes and say, no, we don't want to release them. And since the transcript's already out there, there is no impetus for an interview that he did voluntarily, he didn't have to do, but chose to do, for him to have to release these tapes. There's no legal basis forcing Biden to release it after claiming presidential executive privilege, which has been claimed by previous presidents to hide embarrassing stuff from their administrations before. Now, whether or not the reason why this is being blocked by Biden is because there's genuine examples of Biden's brain starting to malfunction, or, as the Biden administration claims, is because they don't want, since everybody already knows what he said in the interview from the transcript, they don't want the Republicans to be able to clip and snip and clip chimp him, for a streamer term, take clips that are unfair and display it to make him look defunct in a 20-second clip, when the full 40-second clip would not do that. He doesn't think that they're honest enough to use the audio honestly in campaigning, and so why give them ammunition if they already have the transcript? And so the transparency angle, the angle of corruption, is already, it's already been invested. You're not going to find corruption by finding instances of Biden stumbling on his words in this interview. It's purely, in my mind, trying to get ammunition for the election, or trying to prove that Biden's mentally deficient, and has nothing, absolutely nothing to do with what the special counsel investigation had to do with in the first place. But Republicans believe that Merrick Garland telling President Biden that this was covered by executive privilege was, and I quote, dereliction of duty, and that they are now going to hold him in contempt of Congress for that dereliction of duty. The legal argument on it is incredibly shaky. There's not really been a good reason provided that I've seen that this shouldn't be covered by executive privilege. Even if you don't think it should morally be covered by executive privilege, legally speaking, there's not much of an argument that it should be covered by executive privilege. And so right now, the vote is down party lines. And though they already voted to advance this to Congress, and so now there's going to be a congressional vote on whether Merrick Garland should be held in contempt of Congress, all the votes so far have been down party lines. So this has been an incredibly partisan contest. By the way, can I just say Merrick Garland is like incredibly moderate. When Obama picked him for the Supreme Court pick, and he was blocked by Republicans, which allowed them to get 3 Supreme Court picks instead of 2, which they would have got if they didn't block Obama for so long. He was like the most moderate of moderate picks that Obama could pick, specifically because he wanted to take away all justification for the Republicans continuing to halt there even being a hearing on Merrick Garland. I mean, they waited, what, like almost 200 days for a hearing on Merrick Garland? Never happened. So we're talking about a man that is pretty moderate. This is not like Biden's strongest warrior. He doesn't even agree with Biden on everything. So, like, I think that this case is floppy. But putting my position aside, the partisanship on this is biting, it's stabbing, it's poisonous. And that was best shown in what was the last committee hearing on this in the House Oversight Committee, which was an absolute clown show in every sense of the word. And when I say absolute clown show, I mean this was worse than what we've seen so far in the House. Like, this was probably some of the worst chaos in a hearing that we've seen during the Mike Johnson era. This is really bad. And I'm saying it got into personal insults. It got into physical insults where they were insulting each other's appearance. And it was diluted. It was messy. Nothing of import got done. And then it all ended with a completely partisan down the line party vote. So nothing was concluded either. So there's a few moments that we could highlight on, but I don't know where to start. I feel like if I show you the worst there is here, we're kind of spoiling it. But we're going to start with some of the worst stuff from it, and then we're going to watch it. We're going to watch more of it to just show you how this broke down and how dysfunctional some of these committee hearings are and how toxic and poisonous and venomous they get. So here is a 3-minute snippet from the 3-hour committee hearing that just gives you an idea of the types of depths that this went to.
I'd like to know if any of the Democrats on this committee are employing Judge Merchan's daughter.
So that judge is the person who is doing the Trump case. And the judge's daughter is like a Democratic operative. And so Republicans have been making the case that nobody with a daughter that works for the DNC can properly do a case against Trump. That's been the argument. In fact, many of the people who are on this committee hearing requested successfully for this committee hearing to be delayed so they could all go to Mecca. And by that, I mean go to Trump's trial and complain about it to the press.
Please tell me what that has to do with Merrick Garland.
Is she a porn star?
Oh, Goldman. That's right. He's advising. Okay.
He's advising who? What? Do you know what we're here for? You know we're here about
just
AG.
I don't think you know what you're here
President.
for.
I just want to throw out there the last time I saw Ms. Greene in a committee hearing, she was complaining that on a topic about Chinese political warfare that Ukraine kept getting brought up because Timothy Snyder was there. He was connecting Russian political warfare, the Chinese political warfare, the different tactics, the interest that China has in the war in Ukraine, etc. And she was angry that Ukraine kept getting brought up so much before then embarrassing herself before Timothy Snyder. And here she is just engaging in that same behavior. I'm starting to think that this woman's quite uncouth.
You know we're here about
just
AG.
I don't think you know what you're here for.
Well, you the one talking about. I
think your fake eyelashes are messing up.
No,
what you're
ain't
reading.
nothing.
Hold on.
Listen.
Order, Mr. Chairman.
That's beneath the...
Damn. I think your fake eyelashes are messing up your judgment. And the thing is, her point is actually the point of Miss Crockett, which is the congressman that she made that comment to. The point of Miss Crockett is, what does this Trump case have to do with the Merrick Garland? It has nothing to do with each other. Why are you bringing up the daughter of the judge trying Trump in this Merrick Garland? It has nothing to do with each other. And her response is, your fake eyelashes are falling off, and they're messing with your judgment. Let's just say, and I don't want to preempt this too much, that awakened a fire in Miss Crockett. And the crowd, obviously, as you could hear, did not enjoy that comment.
What you're here for.
Well, you the one talking about. I
think your fake eyelashes are messing up.
No, ain't nothing.
Hold on.
Listen.
Order.
Mr. Chairman,
That's beneath
would
even
you
you,
please
Mr. Green.
regain
That's beneath
order
even
of your
you.
committee?
Order.
I do have a point of order, and I would like to move to take down Ms. Greene's words. That is absolutely unacceptable. How dare you attack the physical appearance of another person?
Are your
Move
feelings hurt?
her words down.
Aw.
Oh, girl, baby girl.
Oh, really?
Don't even play. with
Baby
me.
girl?
We're gonna,
I don't think
We are going to
so.
move, and we're going to take your words down.
I
Thank you very
second that motion.
So who will have to pay? Okay. Ms. Green agrees to strike her words.
I believe she
Chair
should apologize.
recognizes
No.
Mr.
She
Perry.
should
Okay,
apologize.
hold on. Then after Mr. Perry's going to be recognized, then Ms. Green
I'm not
has 4 minutes and
apologizing.
21
Well, then
seconds.
you're
reserve
not
the right to
striking your
object.
words.
I am
You're
not
retracting.
apologizing.
Now let's go. Come on, guys.
Children.
Why don't you debate me?
Mr. Chairman,
Everything needs to be for the podcast. Everything needs to be for the moments that she can clip and snip and put in the campaign fundraising emails. That's the entirety of her existence. She just started going after another person's appearance after they made legit complaints about you talking about something completely unrelated. And then they you're not allowed to do that. You can't make comments about their appearance that's completely uncouth, to be polite. And her response is, debate me, bro. Again, everything she does is for the fundraising emails. It's for the fundraising emails. It's for the clips on social media. None of this is meant to be constructive. There's not a constructive bone in her body. It's the same reason that the majority of the influence she wields is by threatening to burn down the entire Republican caucus.
the minority.
Pretty self-evident.
Chair you're not.
Yeah, you're not.
out of order.
You don't have enough
You're out of order.
intelligence.
Chair recognizes Mr. Perry.
Okay, move to strike
I'd
the.
like to
I
strike
move to
those
strike the
words
lady's
as well.
move to
I would
strike-
like
Order.
Strike the
as
lady's
well.
words again.
That's 2 requests to strike. That's 2 requests to strike.
Oh, they cannot take the words.
There's another motion to strike her words again. Please
All right.
get
Okay.
your members under
Here's
control.
the correct apology. Ms. Green, do you agree to unanimous consent to strike your words?
I repeat again for the second time. Yes, I'll strike
right.
my words,
That-
but I'm not
all right.
apologizing.
Without objection. Without
Not
objection.
apologizing.
Not apologizing.
Mr. Chair, point of order.
Okay, so this is Miss Crockett. This is the woman, the congresswoman. Congresswoman is just a word that kind of, congressman is immediately what I think. Marjorie Taylor Greene commented on her quote unquote fake eyelashes, and I think called her unintelligent, or I don't know if that was directed towards AOC. Either way, this is the woman that she insulted the physical appearance of.
Who's
It's me.
Ms. Crockett?
I'm just curious, just to better understand your ruling. If someone on this committee then starts talking about somebody's bleach blonde, bad built butch body, that would not be engaging in personalities, correct?
A what now?
Oh my God. She called her a butch body. Each blonde. Can we hear that again? And you can hear one guy in the back of this committee hearing, like some staffer. He's dying. He's putting his arm around his mouth, trying not to burst from laughing. Listen to this. And look at Raskin. Look how Raskin reacts, by the way.
To better understand your ruling, if someone on this committee then starts talking about somebody's bleach blonde, bad built butch body, that would not be engaging in personalities, correct?
A what now?
At the end, you can see he starts to smile. Look at Raskin. He smiles the last second. Ah, there it is. There it is.
Chairman,
I make a motion to strike those words.
I don't think that's a
Hold on.
part of
I'm trying to find clarification on what qualifies.
Chairman, motion to strike
I
those
had no idea
words.
what you just said.
We're not gonna do this. Look, you guys earlier literally just.
You just voted to do
Y'all did it
it.
first, so you
You
don't want to
just
talk about
voted to do it.
Order.
I'm trying to get
I
clear.
think there was Representative Luna from the Republican side complaining about we're not going to insult appearances. Come on, of all the people complaining, Luna too. Come on.
I hear what you just said.
We're not gonna do this. Look, you guys earlier literally just.
You just voted to do
Y'all did it
it.
first, so you
You
don't want to
just
talk about
voted to do it.
Order.
I'm trying to get clarification.
Look at calm down. Calm down.
No, because this
I
is
would
what
like to
y'all
get
do.
through proceedings.
So I'm trying to
Hey,
get
Ms.
clarification.
Crockett, you're not
Y'all wanna
recognized.
play
Ms.
games,
I can't hear
Crockett.
you with your
and
yelling.
You don't want
Calm
me to
down.
Be,
Can
no,
you please calm
don't
down?
tell me to calm down.
Calm down.
Because y'all talk
Please calm
noise,
down.
and then you
You're
can't
out of
take
control.
Because if I
Look,
come,
Chairman,
if I
can we
come
send
and talk
outside to
shit
take a
about
break
her,
for 5
y'all
minutes?
gonna have a problem.
Chairman, Mr. Chairman.
You hear that? You say you're gonna, you. Let me hear that. Let's play that one more time. Listen to what she says. She's cussing she's cussing in there. She's throwing out. She's not playing anymore. And if I was her, I'd be frustrated too, because Marjorie Taylor Greene goes after her physical appearance, calls her stupid, and then she through osmosis, hints at her appearance, right? Doesn't even say it directly, but gets aggressive with it. And all of a sudden, the Republicans who didn't object at all before, like Representative Luna, have a lot to say, which didn't even directly aim it at Marjorie Taylor Greene, and it was in the form of a question towards Committee Chair Comer.
Ms.
I can't hear you with your yelling.
Don't want
Calm
me
down.
Ian Yorker got a Tier 1 subscription. We need to bring back caning and duels in Congress. Trial by
Well,
combat.
not caning. The caning was not the caning makes it sound like it was a duel with canes. It was one man, a pro-slavery man, beating an anti-slavery man nearly to death with a cane, crippling him for the rest of his life, dying from said injuries later on in his life. So maybe a cane duel would be okay, but both sides would need, the caning of Sumter was not a duel. You would have to be a cane duel. If it was a duel, maybe I'd be more okay with it. But it can't just be one person beating the other person to death with a stick. And then the person who beat him with nearly to death with the cane was then sent hundreds of replacement canes by sympathetic pro-slavery Southerners.
Can't hear you with your yelling.
Don't want me
calm
to
down.
Be,
Can
no,
you please calm down?
Don't tell me to calm down.
Calm down.
Because y'all
Please
talk
calm
noise,
down.
and then you
You're
can't
out of
take
control.
Because if I
Look,
come,
Chairman,
if I
can
come
we
and
send
talk
outside to
shit
take a
about
break
her,
for 5
y'all
minutes?
gonna have a
Mr.
problem.
Chairman, Mr.
Order.
Chairman.
All right,
Sorry.
Chair,
I don't know why
okay.
you're
Order.
acting
Chair
like
now
that.
recognizes.
So basically she said, when I talk about her, there's a problem. When she talks about me, there's no problem. So this is the 3 minutes that has been making the most noise on social media. There's other moments that are interesting as well. Like Lauren Boebert tried to argue that Donald Trump very clearly sleeping during his trial, which if you're trying to make the argument Biden's the old man, he can't be president, falling asleep during your own trial, not a great position to make that argument from. But Laura Boebert decided to defend Trump, not him sleeping, but by saying that I bet he was praying. Listen to this.
And with that, I yield back.
Every so often, Mr. Garcia, maybe you could.
Again, the Trump trial keeps coming up because they delayed the hearing due to the Trump trial, but this isn't even supposed to be about the Trump trial. This is supposed to be about Merrick Garland.
Just lift up that picture of our president.
Let me refresh that. I don't know why it wouldn't let me restart. Here we go.
Well, it's not going to work. And with that, I yield back.
Every so often, Mr. Garcia, maybe you could just lift up that picture of our President Trump sleeping. As you say, I think he's praying. But if he is sleeping, he certainly looks pretty while he sleeps. Maybe it's an endearing moment of prayer, though.
This is glazing never yet before seen in American politics. He isn't sleeping, but if he is, he's beautiful. But I bet it's just the most beautiful, gorgeous, pretty, sexy prayer in American history.
I know when I fall asleep on airplanes, my mouth kind of drops open. And, his mouth is kind of tight-lipped. So maybe it's just a somber moment of
he's sleeping.
Just because she on the plane doesn't mean everybody else is.
It's been reported by multiple press outlets.
I was in the
that is
courtroom
actually
today, and
sleeping.
I do. I could see why someone would fall asleep, just like George Conway fell asleep today.
So is he asleep or is he not asleep? Don't say he's not in sleep. It's prayer. If then immediately justify why somebody would be asleep. This is how it is. He's not asleep, but if he is asleep, it's beautiful. Okay.
In the court hearing, you know, it's kind of slow in there. It's not as exciting as the House Oversight Committee, but I just wanted to say that's a lovely picture you have of President Trump, Mr. Garcia. Thank you, and I yield.
So the glazing on a level we've never seen before. Speaker Johnson did it got so bad that Speaker Johnson himself released a statement about how bad it got at the markup. And I quote, "It's not a good look for Congress. And as I've said a few times this morning, decorum is an important principle to maintain. And we're going to continue to try to advance that principle. And we need people on both sides of the aisle to just take the emotion out of it. We can have vigorous debate. And that's what this institution is built upon. But, you know, we have to treat one another with dignity and respect. If you do not get your people on a leash like Marjorie Taylor Greene, then you're going to have this type of stuff happen. She starts making fun of people's physical appearance, she's going to get it back. Especially when she's her, you know? It's going to happen. You got to get the worst among you to know when to shut up. Okay, if she wants to do that on her fundraising emails, if she wants to do that on social media, that's whatever. But these committee hearings, I almost think they should be closed off to the public, because maybe it would remove the incentive for them to be so performative, or at least have more closed door meetings than open door meetings. Either way, like, it's just too performative. Let's watch as much as we can stomach of this committee hearing, because it did get pretty crazy. Did get pretty wild. I think it's deserving of attention. And so I want to watch as much as we can, because like from the very start, like the partisan divide immediately collides, even from when they're trying to set the rules for debate. Let me show you, because I believe it's Republican Byron Donalds, I believe his name is. He introduces a resolution to make it so that the debate's only for like 60 minutes. He wanted to trim down the time of the committee hearing, which you can only do by unanimous consent, and he didn't have unanimous consent, and he still tried to do it anyway. And like right from the bat, it got off to an unproductive start. Let's play.
On further proceedings today on the question
Oh, let me turn down the speed.
of approving any measure or matter or adopting an amendment on which a recorded vote or the yeas and nays are ordered. Now, pursuant to notice, I call up a report containing a resolution recommending that the House of Representatives find Attorney General Merrick Garland in contempt of Congress for refusal to comply with a subpoena duly issued by this committee. The clerk will report, which has been distributed in advance.
A report containing a House resolution recommending that the
We don't need all this. This is just them like introducing what we're debating, and I already told you what we're debating.
refusal to comply
Read off to offer
nature of
is considered now.
Mr. Chairman.
Okay, here we
For
go.
5
Here's
minutes
what I was
for a
talking
statement
about.
on the report.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir. Chair recognizes Mr. Donalds.
Mr. Chairman, for the purposes of this hearing, I move that debate be structured to 1 hour on the ANS, 30 minutes each side, and 10 minutes on every debate that might be entered during this hearing of the Oversight Committee.
Mr. Chairman.
Objection.
I object to that.
All right, there's an objection, so we'll vote.
Now, to be clear, they don't vote, because changes to the rules of the committee and how they debate and have the conversation does not just require a simple majority or vote period. It requires unanimous consent from all on the board.
Mr. Chairman, maybe we heard on the motion?
Yeah, there's a motion, and all right, we'll suspend.
Mr. Chairman, my objection consists of this. He cannot move to override the rules of the House of Representatives. And we know exactly how debate is to occur, which is the way we usually proceed in debate. So I don't think we have the power to do that.
Mr. Chairman, if I may, this committee has already done that earlier in this very Congress. We went into structured debate on a couple of items a few months ago.
Yes, by unanimous consent only. So I've objected to it. I mean, if the gentleman wants to take it to a vote, we can take it to a vote.
Gentlemen, you?
By all means. Well, why do we want to limit debate on this anyway?
Yeah. If I may,
It's a good question.
I rise in support.
Okay, we're going to suspend and call the parliamentarian to get the official ruling, correct?
Okay.
So it may take I'm estimating 5 minutes.
Fine, Mr. Chairman. In the meantime, I have a parliamentary inquiry of my own. Can you?
Well, I think we're suspended.
Oh, I just thought in order to save time, if you had other parliamentary inquiries, you could take them. No?
Yeah.
No?
No, let's get the ruling from the parliamentarian, then we'll proceed.
Anyway, then they just get the Senate parliamentarian or like the parliamentarian who looks over this, they get their opinion, and they tell Comer like, yeah, no, that's not allowed. And then he just keeps going. But just to show you, like, from the beginning, like, this is, we got to start unproductive. We've got to be unproductive. And look how much time is wasted. That was like 7-8 minutes.
Motion. All right. The committee will come back to order. The motion is out of order. I'll now recognize myself for 5-minute opening statement.
But, Mr. Chairman, can I just pursue my parliamentary inquiry? Will you just explain why this markup was delayed to 8 p.m., throwing everybody's schedule into chaos today? It's
because people wanted to go, like Lauren Boebert and others, to Trump's trial and complain about it because Trump is under gag order because he can't stop like low-key intimidating the jurors and talking about the judge's children and all this other stuff. And he's not supposed to do that. He should not be trying to impact the outcome of the trial by trying to like intimidate anyone or do anything that even could be misconstrued as intimidation, witness intimidation. And so they're instead going out and talking on his behalf, railing against the judges and all of the prosecution, because how dare they go after him for paying a porn star hush money during a campaign?
Buildings closed to the public. Why was that done?
Okay, that's not an appropriate inquiry.
The time of the meeting is not an appropriate procedural inquiry?
Your inquiry is not an appropriate parliamentary inquiry. So let's get back to order. Recognize myself for opening statement. Today's markup initiates contempt of Congress proceedings against U.S. Attorney Merrick Garland for defying a subpoena from the Oversight Committee. The committee's February subpoena required the Department of Justice to produce audio recordings of President Biden's interview with the special counsel investigating his mishandling and improper disclosure of classified materials.
Again, that report he's talking about said that there's no criminal charges that can be brought against Trump, and the transcript's already out there. The reason they want the audio is so they can find something of Biden going and clip it and post it, because they're not going to find anything about the case proving criminality from it because they already have the transcript. It is because they want to see if Biden fumbled in his words on that interview, because Robert Hur said he was a kind of like a confused old man. And so they wanted to find like some audio evidence of that, because the transcript doesn't really seem to indicate much of that.
The department has chosen not to produce them. That's why we're here today. This is not a complicated...
Again, the department, Merrick Garland, said that this is covered by executive privilege. But again, Biden gave the interview voluntarily. He didn't have to give the interview, and he doesn't have to give the audio for the interview. It's covered by executive privilege. You can disagree with executive privilege being called here. You could say, I want to listen to the audio. I think I should have the audio. But legally, this isn't something that you can charge Merrick Garland criminally with. This is how it's going to go. And I'm telling you this because I just want you guys to know that most of this is political theater. Even if Congress votes to hold Merrick Garland in contempt of Congress, he will not have criminal charges brought against him, because there is not criminal charges to bring against Merrick Garland. There have already been 2 attorney generals that have had contempt of Congress charges brought against them. Bill Barr under the Trump administration, and even an attorney general during the Obama administration. So this isn't even like a totally new or necessarily crazy thing. It's still, it's nothing criminal that they can throw at him. But this is something that's happened before, and it'll probably end there. Even if they pass it in Congress, it'll die in Congress, and then they will have no crimes to bring against him, and that'll be the end of that. It'll become really nothing more than a talking point.
Subject. The Oversight Committee requires these audio recordings, and the Department of Justice has refused to provide them. We're not in court. The accommodations process has been exhausted. We are not making a request. The subpoena requires production. We are not requiring anything that interferes with...
An executive privilege can triumph that if it can be covered by executive privilege. Merrick Garland says it is, and I've been given no indication that it shouldn't be covered by executive privilege.
With an ongoing investigation. The special counsel already concluded his investigation by choosing not to charge President Biden because he is an, quote, elderly man with a poor memory, end quote. This morning, the Department of Justice informed the committee
can I just
that the
throw out there
President
that it was not special counsel Robert Hur's job to determine if he was an elderly man. He didn't do all of the processes to tell. Well, I mean, you can determine he's an elderly man, but man with bad memory. He, through his interviews with him, claimed things like, for example, that he didn't know the death of his own son, which just ended up not being true. It was actually that he didn't know. I think he didn't know the exact day that he died. He knew the month. He just didn't remember the exact day. The idea that this interview produced an outcome that you can use to determine whether or not Joe Biden has like dementia or anything is just not true. It was not what he was determining. He didn't have the skills to determine that. He's not a medical professional. And I didn't see anything from the transcript that would lead me to believe that he has extremely bad memory or bad enough memory that he couldn't leave the country. It doesn't mean he isn't old. It's just a weird thing for him to say, considering the evidence he had and the medical degree he doesn't.
Biden.
That doesn't mean he didn't fumble on his words. It could be true. That could be why the Biden administration doesn't want to send that out. It's just not reflected much in the transcript.
Because he is an, quote, elderly man with a poor memory, end quote. This morning, the Department of Justice informed the committee that the president has asserted executive privilege over the audio recordings of the president's interview with special counsel Hur. President Biden's decision to withhold the audio recording from Congress is alarming. The committee has already obtained the transcript of the interview. President Biden must have something to hide because it does not make sense that he would suppress the audio if the transcript was accurate. There is no substitute.
No, it could be that the transcript was accurate, but that they don't want you like if Biden takes time to answer one question, like for example, he answers, waits a little bit, then answers another question. Like the transcript can be accurate, and then there's like differences with the how the audio comes out versus how the words are written down, like certain things that aren't picked up. Like the transcript's accurate. We have no reason to believe the transcript isn't accurate. It could just be that maybe he fumbles on his words a little bit, or he, it could be some like verbal mistakes that he made that could be clipped and sent out and hurt his campaign. It could be as little as that, but like that would not be that he's trying to hide some criminality. It'd be that he's trying to hide himself, like fumbling on his words. Or that maybe he didn't fumble on his words. He just doesn't want you guys to manipulate the footage and make it look like he fumbled on his words. Either way, like he makes it sound like there's like some great secret that's going to be revealed when like at best for them, they'd reveal Biden going like, Haiti. Yeah, we were doing a deal around Haiti. Like that's the most you can expect, at least from what the transcript seems to indicate.
As the many lawyers on this committee will tell you, for a recording of an actual conversation, not a summary, not a report, not a transcript. The White House has shown it is willing to alter transcripts to protect Joe Biden's image. We will not simply take the Justice Department's word.
Which transcript is he talking about?
About this interview. It is not the Department of Justice's decision how to cooperate with a subpoena, just like the people who receive subpoenas from DOJ do not get to negotiate their compliance. The Department of Justice is not above Congress. It is not above the law. It is also not President Biden's decision to assert executive privilege on audio recordings when the transcript has already been released.
That doesn't make, I don't understand the argument there. The argument is executive privilege no longer applies if the transcript's out. So Biden could only apply executive privilege to the voluntary interview he did if he hadn't released the transcript. So it would have been okay for Biden to do it if he did it months earlier and just stopped you guys from seeing the transcript. But because he just doesn't want the audio specifically, that's not legal. I don't understand that.
In 1974, the House rejected an attempt by President Nixon to release a transcript instead of subpoenaed audio recordings. And there should be bipartisan support to reject it here too. Not long ago, a very distinguished member of this committee said, and I quote, "The lesson is, please tell your children out there in America."
Were these voluntary interviews, number one? And number two, you requested a transcript, gave the transcript, then requested more, and then it was objected to. It was not, we want the audio, how about we don't give you that, here's the transcript instead. The situation was, I'd have to go back, I wasn't alive during the time, but I'd have to go back and check. Maybe there is something to it. I'm not a legal expert, who knows? But I don't think the situation was the same. Let me look it up.
America, if you get a subpoena to go before Congress, if you get a subpoena to go to the court, go. You have a legal responsibility to go, end quote. That distinguished member was none other than Ranking Member Jamie Raskin in 2022, only 2 years ago. Now Ranking Member Raskin has spent this Congress making excuses for why people like Hunter Biden or now the Department of Justice don't have to comply with congressional subpoenas. On January 10, 2023, this committee announced an investigation into President Biden's mishandling of classified documents. 2 days later, on January 12, 2023, the Attorney General announced his intent to appoint a special counsel to oversee the criminal investigation of President Biden. While the special counsel pursued his investigation, the committee did its own work and found facts that have challenged the White House's official narrative about these classified materials. Months of thorough investigating by this committee have revealed attempts by the White House to keep the truth from the American people, not just about the documents themselves and why Joe Biden had them, but President Biden's memory and mental capacity to.
That's not part of the investigation. The investigation is not, is Biden old or does Biden have bad memory? The investigation was to determine Biden's criminality, which is why when you ask him what crime did he commit, they're like, we can't really answer that. But if they get to talk about Biden being old, they want to talk about that as long as possible because that's something voters are anxious about. But this has nothing to do with getting to the bottom of what the special counsel cares about. It's about making Biden look old. Be honest about it.
To do his job. The committee's timeline begins well before the White House's narrative that President Biden's private lawyers just stumbled upon classified materials in November 2022 at the Penn Biden Center. May 24th, 2022, 6 months before the White House's story began, the White House counsel, Dana Remus, contacted a Biden former employee to retrieve President Biden's materials from the Penn Biden Center and then traveled there herself to pick up boxes. Why would the most senior lawyer at the White House be going to pack up an office that was supposed to have pictures and personal documents in it? Why were President Biden's personal lawyers visiting the Penn Biden Center days before the discovery of classified materials?
Okay, so I'm reading more about the argument that Merrick Garland and others are making. So first, the Attorney General wrote that turning over the tapes would risk a chilling effect of cooperation of witnesses, including White House officials, in any future investigation. And he says that the risk outweighs the committee's request, that they didn't make a case about why this audio was needed in reference to what the actual purpose of Robert Mueller's investigation, not Robert Mueller, but hers investigation was about, which was about potential criminality, which he said was not provable and they didn't really have evidence of. And he also said that, and I quote, demanding such sensitive and constitutionally protected law enforcement materials from the executive branch because you want to manipulate them for political gain is inappropriate. That wasn't Garland. That was a Biden administration official. But these are the arguments that they're making as to why they do not need to release these and why they're not releasing these. Oh, wait, 1 second. Garland noted in a letter that the Justice Department has a history of recognizing executive privilege protects materials related to, and quote, closed criminal investigations where disclosure disclosure is likely to damage future law enforcement efforts. I don't really know if there's really that much risk about damaging future law enforcement efforts, but do I think this will stand up? Probably. Do I think that it's an argument based in, like, actually protecting the law enforcement? I can't say, but I lean against it. Doesn't mean that their legal case won't work, though.
Thought they were just picking up pictures and letters. Why were they calling FedEx to pick up boxes and a White House employee was leaving with boxes before the November 2nd discovery? Now the White House won't permit this committee to depose Dana Remus. The White House won't allow any of the employees that entered the Penn Biden Center before November 2022 to speak with the committee. What is the White House afraid of? Why not be transparent and open with this committee and the American people? For that matter, what are Democrats on this committee who oppose the release of these audio recordings afraid of? The recordings will just be President Biden speaking. What is it that would make them nervous about that? It's because they know, once again, President Biden has not been honest. He hasn't been honest about his family's foreign entanglements. He hasn't been honest about mishandling classified documents.
I gotta be honest. This is fucking bullshit to me. The reason why I think if you're going Comer's angle, why they wouldn't want the audio release is because Biden could, and I already said this, and I'm not going to say it again because I made this point a few times. It's because Biden fumbles, stumbles, and makes himself look old in the audio. I mean, how do you make a transcript grow from the transcript that we saw to we've got entirely new sections now about dealings with China and other foreign businesses that were just completely cut out of the transcript? Like, it doesn't make any sense. So it's most likely that he just, like, the stumbling of the words getting cut and put in ads, or Biden making himself look super old. Like that, and since it was like a casual 5-hour conversation with investigators where they asked him all sorts of information, it would, I think, again, the likelihood of him taking time to answer questions, I think is certainly there. It's certainly a scenario that is more than believable. But the idea that these audio recordings are so substantially different than the transcripts, that they include new secret information about dealings in Ukraine, China, or any other foreign country, that just sounds like a bunch of hogwash to me.
And if the Democrats were honest, they'd admit President Biden's mental capacity is declining. Americans see it happening every day. In fact, 6 in 10 Americans don't have confidence in Joe Biden's mental capacity. If the Attorney General wants to defy Congress and not produce the audio recording,
but he followed up by quoting Trump's, like, it's like 6 in 10 to 5.8 to 10. Look, I think we need a little bit more youth in the White House in both the Republican and Democratic parties.
He will face consequences for those actions. The path before us is clear. I urge this committee to move forward with holding Attorney General Merrick Garland in contempt. I now recognize the ranking member.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Ladies and gentlemen, in this special nighttime episode, we resume the madcap comedy mystery series called Comer's High Crimes and Misadventures, the hilarious quest to impeach a president who has done nothing wrong, an avowedly low-budget but multi-million-dollar taxpayer-funded production which most Americans assumed had ended 2 months ago and had completely forgotten about. But tonight, with the cast and crew now fresh back from a surprise
You mean
trip
like
to
the
New York
January
City,
6th committee?
Stop it.
I'd like my time restored to me, Mr. Chairman.
Order, order. Chair recognizes ranking member.
We're already derailing. We're already the wheels popping off, scratching. Okay, Raskin trying to push the train back on the track. Already derailing. God, she loves being the center of attention, doesn't she?
Okay.
Order. Order, order.
Well, tonight with the cast and crew fresh back from their surprise trip to New York City, it's clear the show must go on. Now, our originally scheduled performance was supposed to be at 11 a.m. today, but it was postponed when members of the majority chose to join a mass spiritual pilgrimage to the New York criminal trial of a Florida man, an adjudicated fraudster and rapist, as he faces 34 felony counts of falsifying
He
corporate.
was found in a civil court to be liable for rape. And the standards for that means in a court that rape was likely, that he likely did rape. It's not the same as criminally liable, so they can't put him in jail, but they could say fine him a bunch of money, which they did. That's what he's referring to.
Corporate financial records to cover up $130,000 paid in hush money to a porn star sex partner. Now, although some people are churlishly complaining that members should actually be here.
Now, on one hand, someone could object to him that this is completely off topic, but on the other hand, this is the topic that's going to come up the whole committee anyway, so it's kind of forced its way in, and the committee did get delayed so people could go visit Trump's trial.
To vote on public business and should not have forced a last-minute change in the committee schedule. Our colleagues properly demonstrated for all of history their fierce devotion to this clearly reformed, devout, and pious Florida spiritual leader who many supporters are now calling the Messiah from Mar-a-Lago. Of course, in the meantime, Chairman Jordan in the House Judiciary
Will
Committee
the gentleman yield?
preempted. No, I'm in the middle
Sir,
of my
I appreciate that photo. It's a good photo.
I would like a copy of that. Done with it.
Would you like a signed one, Raskin?
Yes,
Could you get your members in order, Mr. Chairman?
It's a great photo. I want a copy of it.
Order.
Mr. Chairman.
In the meantime, Chairman Jordan in the House Judiciary Committee preempted our GOP colleagues on oversight, rendering this entire exercise not only absurd, but completely meaningless and redundant. They have already held Attorney General Garland purportedly in contempt. Now, when we last met on this matter, you will recall that the majority still had not identified a single high crime or misdemeanor that the president had committed. The committee's impressive 3.8 million pages of documents and 80 hours of testimony from 20 witnesses produced nothing but overwhelming and definitive proof that President Biden had done nothing wrong. So desperate for a news story.
Well, no. All it proved is that they didn't have evidence that he did something wrong, not that he didn't do anything wrong.
Republicans have come up with this astonishing new plot twist. They now propose to hold the Attorney General of the United States in contempt for giving the committee the information it asked for. And it is information that has absolutely nothing to do with their failed impeachment investigation or any high crimes or misdemeanors. Now, true fans of the show will recall from prior episodes this plot device of punishing people for complying with committee orders. But this new episode of not taking yes for an answer sends us off into strange new worlds of absurdity where no congressional committee has truly ever gone before. The majority wanted to know what President Biden said in his voluntary interview with Special Counsel Hur. And maybe there was an impeachable diamond lurking in the rough. So the Justice Department complied with the request. It turned over the 250-page transcript of President Biden's 5-hour interview with the special counsel. We had a hearing on it in this committee. The special counsel came, and there was nothing impeachable there. If there had been, you would have taken up Mr. Moskowitz's offer, and you would have voted on impeachment after it happened. But you didn't. Committee members...
So a Democrat called Jared Moskowitz called their bluff, kinda, and tried to introduce a resolution to impeach President Biden. Mind you, he's a Democrat. And he's saying, okay, fine, let's impeach Biden. Let's impeach Biden. Let's go through with it. Let's go through the circles to impeach him, to bring charges, and yada, yada, yada. And it was shot down by Republicans. And the reason it was shot down is because he didn't have anything. And so if they went forward with impeachment, and then they said, he committed a crime. What's the crime? Something, I'm sure. It probably wouldn't have looked well to the American public. Definitely, if that's the same Congress that is literally the least productive Congress since the American Great Depression, might go on to be the least productive American Congress in American history. I think that would not go well with a wasted impeachment, which would show the type of stuff they were doing instead of passing laws to help people.
Millions of Americans got to read the entire transcript and can read it right now if they like. We all can learn what the president was asked and see how he answered each and every question. But the chairman insists that's not enough. He and the rest of America are clearly able to read the interview, but he wants to be able to hear the interview. The book is not sufficient. He wants the audio book. And because of this gratuitous and comical request, the whole troop now seeks to hold the Attorney General of the United States of America in contempt. Anyone watching can grasp the fallacy cleverly tucked into this new special primetime episode. There is nothing relevant or material that our committee can learn from an audio tape, which we cannot learn from the 250 pages of the transcript. The format of the medium does not change.
Well, you could know Biden's tone. You could know the space between words. Like, unironic, again, this for real will be the last time I say it. The only thing you could get from this is Biden slipping on his words. That's the only thing you get. When it comes to the actual facts of the case, there's nothing that will be contributed. It will just be about the speculation that the special counsel engaged in about Biden's memory, which he was not qualified to determine and was not the purpose of the inquiry, the probe.
The content of the communications. So in this absurd twist, our friends now seek to blame the spectacular belly flop of their own impeachment probe on Attorney General Garland and his sneaky effort to obstruct the investigation by cooperating with it. We know what real obstruction looks like because the last president specialized in it. This president agreed to sit down for a voluntary 5-hour interview with the special counsel investigating him. Attorney General Garland turned over the complete 250-page transcript interview. That's not obstruction. Real obstruction was Trump and his administration refusing to provide information Congress requested in more than 100 different congressional investigations and inquiries. And I know that pleases the gentlelady from Georgia because he issued...
I just want to hear Joe Biden. Why can't the American people hear him?
Order, Mr. Chairman. Get her under control.
President Trump...
You know what she needs? She needs one of those, like, child leashes. Or there needs to be a rule about, like, third interruption and the chairman can throw the gavel at you. But Comer wouldn't. Moskowitz would.
President Trump issued an edict. No, I am glad that the gentlelady from Georgia is learning something tonight, okay? The president... I encourage her to be a good listener, and she's been a good listener. So, Mr. Chairman, the last president issued an edict directing all federal officials in his administration to categorically ignore and reject all congressional subpoenas. Do my colleagues remember that? Do they know that? He told them not to cooperate with any federal investigation at all by Congress. And we didn't hear a peep from any of them. That was real obstruction. Real obstruction happened when 2 members of this committee, who may be preparing to vote tonight to hold Attorney General Garland in contempt, brazenly refused to comply with subpoenas from the U.S. House Select Committee to investigate the January 6th attack on the United States Capitol, and still have not responded to those subpoenas. But now it seems, Mr. Chairman, I just got past something.
That is true. It's hypocritical. They just don't care.
That the whole obstruction gimmick may just be a fundraising ploy, which demeans the overwhelming legal integrity and impressive theatrical ambitions of this enterprise. I was just handed a mass fundraising email solicitation for your campaign that you sent out this evening, Mr. Chairman, stating that, quote, Biden and his advisors are terrified that I will release the recordings, forcing the media and Democrats to...
We're reading each other's campaign fundraising emails on the committee floor. Oh my God. This is, I gotta say, the toxicity in politics, bad for the country. This, great for true TV, okay? Great for reality television.
Campaign that you sent out this evening, Mr. Chairman, stating that, quote, Biden and his advisors are terrified that I will release the recordings, forcing the media and Democrats to answer for the dismal decline of Biden's mental state. This could be the final blow to Biden with swing voters across the country. The Democrats...
So right there it is. That's what I'm saying. This is about finding Biden to stumble on his words, to campaign on it. It has nothing to do with getting any more facts of the case like the chairman suggested earlier. That right there is what this has to do with. Said clear as day in the fundraising email.
pulling out all the stops to stop the bleeding. Signed, James Comer, Chairman, House Oversight Committee. Now, I must confess my disappointment to be handed this fundraising solicitation signed by you as Chairman of the House Oversight Committee. I thought that you were serious about the legal enterprise here and not just another political huckster calling hearings to score cheap political points and to make a buck. Mr. Chairman, I'd like to ask unanimous consent to enter into the record the full and complete 250-page transcript of the President's interview with Special Counsel Hur, which we have now had in our committee for more than 2 months.
Without objection, so ordered.
And I know that some people may think this is a big Broadway production now with everybody's trip to the Big Apple, but it is high time to close this unhinged series and get back to some semblance of the people's work. We have the interview transcript. We have the President's words. There's no basis for this outlandish contempt proceeding, which only further disgraces our committee along with judiciary. Accordingly, Mr. Chairman, and since your members seem to be in such a hurry to be done with this, I move to immediately adjourn these proceedings.
Seconded.
I second.
So in your opening statement, you moved to adjourn.
I'm moving to adjourn these proceedings.
Second.
Motion and second.
Crockett
All those in
seconded
favor of adjournment signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, no. No. The noes have it. Motion fails. Now, do any other members wish to be heard?
So there's 24 Republicans, I think. They have like 24 votes in the committee. And then they have 20 Democrat votes. Point is, I forget the exact number. I'm guessing. I'm trying to remember from articles I read. But point is, they have more Republican votes than Democrat votes. So usually how it goes with Comer is he'll just say, aye, Republicans have it, boom, and then keep going. Because unless he sees some Republicans break, he knows he has it.
Vote.
But they're still going to ask for a
recorded
record.
vote has been requested. The clerk will call the roll.
We got our things. Why are we not doing that?
Okay. Let's go through and skip this because we don't need to.
The
noes have.
The nays are 24. The ayes are 19.
Oh, I think I was right about 24 to 20. I think there must be one Democrat who's not there.
The noes have it. The motion to adjourn fails. Is any
Mr. Chairman, move to strike the last word.
Recognition.
Mr. Chairman, move to strike the last word.
Chair recognizes Mr. Moskowitz.
All right, thank you, Mr. Chairman. All right, so welcome to Oversight After Dark. If you love James Comer at 11 o'clock in the morning, you're really going to love him at 8:30 p.m. So, members, the hearing was moved today.
This guy's a big troll, and I mean that open. He was the guy who moved to impeach Trump, knowing that Republicans wouldn't bite and it'd look really silly. Anyway, that's his thing.
Hey, we don't have to ask the question.
He's a goofer. He's a goofy goober.
The hearing was moved today so that members could go to New York and attend the Trump hearing. But how's he doing? He's complained that he's chilly in the courtroom. Is it chilly? Is it chilly?
Will the gentleman yield?
No, I'll assume it's
He's
chilly.
doing very good.
Okay, good. So, it was mentioned
Is he DRR?
by
He's a Democrat.
the ranking member about really what we're doing here. You don't have to listen to my words. I would like to do a
from New Jersey. Let me Google if he's from New Jersey.
Spirited reading of the campaign email sent out by the chairman, and it's on lovely stationery. In fact, it says from the desk of the oversight chairman. I'm not sure you can do that, but I'm not an ethics expert.
Florida's 23rd district. Look at that.
It says friend. President Biden is exerting executive privilege in a last-ditch attempt to stop the disastrous audio recording of his interview with special counsel from being released. And it's highlighted in yellow. Want to make sure people saw that. Just a few months ago, the White House bragged that Joe Biden had nothing to hide and would not exert executive privilege.
Okay, we already read one fundraising campaign. I'll let him do it because I like Rashida Tlaib's reaction to it in the back here. That's Rashida Tlaib behind her. The Michigan Democrat, or was it Minnesota? I believe it's Michigan. I'll just let this play. I'm going to go use the bathroom, and we'll come back and we'll watch more. Well, I'll just let it play because, we've already read a campaign email.
During special counsel Hur's investigation, they even said he had nothing to hide. That's in italics. Now Biden and his advisors are terrified that I, James Comer, will release the recordings, forcing the media and the Democrats to answer for the dismal decline of Biden's mental state. He even had Attorney Merrick Garland write a letter saying that his interview falls within the scope of executive privilege. This could be the final blow with swing voters across the country. Okay. You and I know, hold on, we're not done, it gets better. You and I know he's not up for the job, but the mainstream's media refusal to report on it as only keeping him in the game. Stand with Comer. The Democrats, you sure about that? The Democrats are pulling out all the stops to stop the bleeding. That means coming after me with everything they had. If you're able, we hope you are, I'd be so grateful if you'd consider making a donation to my campaign. I sure need it to defend against the onslaught of attacks. Thank you for everything. James Comer, chairman of the House Oversight Committee. Without objection, I'd like to enter that into the record.
Without objection, so ordered.
All right, beautiful. So again, Mr. Chairman, since you think this is the final blow, right? And obviously the chairman of Judiciary is here too. We only have June, July, and September before the election. We're not here in August and October. So, I mean, I'm sure the American people are paying attention at 11:30 p.m. where you buried this hearing because it's so important. When are we going to do the impeachment of Joe Biden? When is that going to happen?
Here it is again. He's doing it again. Propose it again. Propose to impeach him a second time. Do it again.
Important. When are we going to do the impeachment of Joe Biden? When is that going to happen? Is it going to be June? Is it going to be July? Is it going to be September? Let's just put it on the calendar. Let's just put it on the calendar. Pick a month. We're available. We were available at 11 a.m. You guys weren't. Just pick a month, right? So we can get it on the calendar and do the impeachment. So hold on. I'll give you choices. Ready? June. July. How about September? Okay. So we're never going to schedule this thing. It's never going to happen. He's sending out more subpoenas because he has no evidence, okay? And yet, here we go, around and around and around. And so, we get it. You'll raise money off of it. Congratulations to you. You know, if you want, Mr. Chairman, I can get the transcript out. I can do a spirited reading. We can sit here. I'll do all 250 pages for you. I'll even put on, like, a Biden mask, make it visual so you can, like, really get in the moment. I mean, we just want to know, like, what's it going to take, Mr. Chairman, to get you comfortable? You go on Newsmax and you get comfortable. What's it going to take to get you comfortable to ask your friend, Chairman Jordan, sitting next to you, when we're going to schedule impeachment? So we'll do it again. Ready? How about June, July, September?
Does the gentleman know how many spare Biden masks there are available in D.C.?
I don't, but there's a lot on Etsy. I mean, you can get lots of things. Okay, so you know, look, I'll yield the balance of my time to the ranking member if he wants to use the last 40. Oh, you have something to say, Mr. Chairman? Go ahead, please.
No, I was going to say you yielded to ranking member Raskin. He has 30 seconds.
Go ahead, Mr. Ranking Member.
Thank you, Mr. Moskowitz. There is an ethics principle that no solicitation of a campaign or political contribution may be linked to an action taken or to be taken by a member or employee in his or her official capacity. That's just a reminder to my side. I hope that nobody is linking specific actions that you're taking on the Oversight Committee to campaign contributions or solicitations. And with that, I'll yield back to the distinguished gentleman from Florida.
Time's expired. Does any other member seek recognition?
Oh, man, he really wanted to hit that gavel. I don't know why.
Recognition.
Mr.
Chair recognizes Ms. Greene.
I'd like to know if any of the Democrats on this committee are employing Judge Mershon's daughter.
Oh, here we go. We're at that moment again. So this is where it went all down shit. We'll watch it again because it's just so crazy. Okay, we'll just watch because this is really where it peaks.
Tell me what that has to do with Merrick Garland.
Is she a porn star?
Oh, Goldman. That's right. He's advising. Okay.
He's advising who? What? Do you know what we're here for? You know we're here about AG.
I don't think you know what you're here for.
Well, you the one talking about.
I think your fake eyelashes are messing up.
No, ain't nothing.
Hold on.
Listen.
Order.
Mr. Chairman,
That's beneath
would
even
you
your
please
screen.
regain order of your committee?
Order.
Please. There's a point of order.
We have a point of order. Mr. Lynch, state your point.
Mr. Chairman, I would just like to ask the parliamentarian if your conduct here in raising money in connection with this hearing is referable to the Ethics Committee within this hearing. Is a motion in order to refer your conduct and your abuse of
It's not a point of order.
Mr. I do have a point of order. And
Really? We're not allowed to ask the parliamentarian if it was legal for him to use his position as the chairman of the committee to fundraise? Why can't we not ask about that? Why not? Why is that specifically blocked, Chairman?
Committee within this hearing. Is a motion in order to refer your conduct and your abuse of
It's not a point of order.
Mr. I do have a point of order, and I would like to move to take down Ms. Greene's words. That is absolutely unacceptable. How dare you attack the physical appearance of another person?
Are your feelings hurt?
Her words down. Oh, girl, baby girl.
Oh, really?
Don't even play.
Baby girl? I don't think
we are going to move, and we're going to
audience?
take your words down.
I second that motion.
So who will have to pay? Okay. All right. We're suspending.
Okay, so they suspend to check the rules.
No way is that being allowed.
And AOC is going crazy back there.
Absolutely.
Listen to her.
Absolutely.
I don't know how much longer I'm going to be on oversight.
Not today. Not today.
I'm listening to the back chatter. The back chatter is great.
That's the place where I can work.
Here's what we're not going to do.
Here's what we're not gonna do.
You can't.
Sit down. Sit down.
What are they chattering about? Byron Donalds and I think that's Mouskowitz?
We're not going to do a smarmy apology, and if it's not.
Yeah, I want to listen. Honestly, I just kind of want to listen to AOC now. I'm listening to that back chatter. This back chatter is interesting.
Fine, but she has to do a public and she has to actually apologize. And if it's not a real apology, here's what we're not going to do. We're not going to do a smarmy apology. She has to actually apologize, and that needs to be up to Ms. Crockett as well.
Sure.
And it needs to be a real, not a smarmy
It
apology.
needs to be sincere.
They need to like take her face and like push it in the dog piss. You know, you did it. Bad. Bad.
Oh, let's do it. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go.
Let's go. AOC is more heated than Crockett, it feels like.
Because her ego's bruised.
Yeah, that's what it is.
That's all it is.
She's not used
She
to
doesn't
people
wanna
talking
say-
back to
She
her.
doesn't want to say sorry to nobody for nothing. She's going to learn.
Damn. Okay, are you guys done with the back chatter? Can we skip through the back chatter? This back chatter is interesting. Oh, they just silenced it. Oh.
I'll ask. Yeah.
Okay, are we done? Can we... I see Marjorie Taylor Greene scuffling around trying to... Look what is she doing?
Ms. Greene has, committee will reconvene.
Here we go.
Ms. Greene has 4 minutes and 21 seconds. There's a motion. Ms. Greene, do you wish to strike your words?
I have 4 minutes and 21 seconds to speak.
I think we have to do the motion first, and then unless there's another motion, then you'll be recognized again. But I believe there's another motion coming. So will you agree to strike your words?
Yeah, I'll
Okay. Ms. Greene agrees to strike her words.
I believe she
Chair
needs to apologize.
recognizes
No.
Mr.
She
Perry.
needs to
Okay,
apologize.
hold on. Then after Mr. Perry's going to be recognized, then Ms. Greene
I'm not
has 4 minutes and
apologizing.
21
Well,
seconds.
then
Okay,
you're
reserve
not
the right to
striking your
object.
words.
I am
You're
not
retracting.
apologizing.
Now let's go. Come on, guys.
Why don't you debate me?
Mr. Chairman, The minority.
pretty self-evident.
You're not.
Yeah, you're not.
Out of order.
You don't have enough
You're out of order.
intelligence.
Chair recognizes Mr. Perry.
Okay, move to strike
I'd
the.
like to
I
strike
move to
those
strike the
words
lady's
as well.
words.
I would like
Strike the lady's
as well.
words again.
That's 2 requests to strike. That's 2 requests to strike.
Oh, they cannot take the words.
There's another motion to strike her words again. Please
All right,
get
okay,
your members under
here's
control.
the correct parliamentary. Ms. Greene, do you ask unanimous? Do you agree to unanimous consent to strike your words?
I repeat again for the second time. Yes, I'll strike
right.
my words,
That-
but I'm not apologizing.
Without objection. Without
Not
objection.
apologizing.
Reserving the right to object.
Chairman, I
Chair
reserve the
right to
recognizes
object.
Mr.
I
Perry.
reserve the right to object.
Chairman, I move that Mr. Goldman's words and Ms. Ocasio-Cortez's words be stricken.
Okay.
Which words? And you have to do it contemporaneously. Object. The objection must be contemporaneous, and they haven't spoken in 10 minutes.
Nobody's spoken and said in 10 minutes.
Well, that's right. Therefore, defeating your proposal.
You all have. So that's my motion, Mr. Chairman.
We weren't able to.
Well, I object. It doesn't
What's his
refer to
motion?
anything that's on the floor. Ms. Ocasio-Cortez objected immediately and instantaneously, as you're supposed to do under the rules and precedents of the House of Representatives.
So the first time he could
Mr. Chairman,
Let's
point of parliamentary inquiry.
All right, we're going to suspend for a minute, but we'll talk to the parliamentary.
And more Parliament talking. Look how little work is getting done because they're scuffling over nonsense.
Okay, committee will come back to order. So, Ms. Greene asked unanimous consent to strike her words. Mr. Raskin objected. I'm going to recognize Mr. Raskin for his objection. No, we're not counting against. Ms. Greene has 4 minutes and 21 seconds left. This will not count against her time.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I reserve the right to object because the understanding of the minority is that the gentlelady from Georgia would move to take her words down and strike her words and to offer a sincere apology for having engaged in personalities against another member, offending her personal appearance and insulting her. We don't do that in this committee. And I think the major problem was that we allowed pornography in this committee, and we've gone down a bad road. But in any event, we should not allow face-to-face ad hominem insults. It's totally contrary to the rules of the House.
So if you're confused about what he's referencing there was like some very lewd pictures of Hunter Biden that were brought before the committee as well. To prove what? I don't know. His dong size, but that happened.
Not allow face-to-face ad hominem insults. It's totally contrary to the rules of the House of Representatives. And I would ask Ms. Greene if she would just make the apology. It's not that complicated. We don't want to get into face-to-face insults.
You will never get an apology out of me. I don't owe you
Then I
one.
object. Then I object, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Raskins objects. So the member will state the words he wishes taken down or she wishes taken down.
Well, what I heard her say, but I would like her to repeat the words. What I heard her to say was, and you can take off your fake eyelashes too. Well, then what did you say?
I mean,
what did you say, Ms. Greene?
Really?
What was?
I mean,
Why is Comer saying really? Okay, so if someone was out there and said Comer is like a fat loser nerd, he's a geek, his wife cheats on, like if people just start throwing insults at Comer, is he gonna be like, well, you know, freedom of expression? Would he be so slow to act then? Like, whatever.
The clerk needs to report the words, but those.
Okay, the clerk.
That was the sum and substance.
The clerk will report the words. Clerk will report the words.
Where's the law and order? So the clerk's gonna report the words.
Mr. Chairman.
We could subpoena the audio tape, Mr. Chairman.
We could subpoena the audio. Okay, let's get through this. Let's get through this.
This is great.
Subpoena the audio.
Release the audio.
It'll just take us a few minutes to get
Okay.
those words.
We'll suspend.
Aren't we here for audio?
Chairman.
Kind of makes a face like Jang Zemin every once in a while to turn herself into a frog when her mouth goes wide like that.
I'd like Joe Biden's audio.
Okay, let's get through more of this. Oh my God, we're still in this? Can we please get back to work? I've never wanted to hear Merrick Garland's name
Mr.
more
Chairman,
in my life.
Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, just a point of order here. I believe there were members who've been interviewed by the media from their seats. Do we allow that?
They identify as clerks.
That have.
Chairman, sorry.
What do you?
Like as clerks?
That what?
You're not respecting their identity?
Wait, someone is being.
Is this like a joke about trans people? What does that even? What does this mean? Did none of them want to do? Why did they get elected to Congress? Is it just a podcast on a higher level? What did they? Did they not want to work on anything? Is it just all jokes and memes?
Okay.
Is that allowed?
For decorum, the media will evacuate the well.
Mr. Chairman.
At the request of the.
Mr. Chairman,
complaint of the ranking member.
Netflix followed Hunter Biden into this room. I don't remember anyone across the aisle complaining about Hunter Biden, his TV film crew when he came up here.
That's a good point. So do you withdraw that?
Oh my God.
Do you withdraw that? Oh,
Can we just
with everyone?
Can we just move and get work done, please?
What is the ruling on the motion to take her words down? I thought we had an agreement. Okay.
Yeah.
Mr. Chairman, I would just urge you to prevail upon the distinguished gentlelady from Georgia. Her words.
Well, it's very difficult for the stenographer to understand everything with everyone yelling and screaming back and forth. But we went through this with I would like to make a point. We went through this with some of the things that Mr. Swalwell said in the Hunter Biden deposition. Some of the things that he said negative about some of our staff and the members weren't picked up by the stenographer, unfortunately, because there was so much yelling.
Fair enough, Mr. Chairman, but I think we don't want to see a complete dissent of our committee. And the verbatim quote of the gentlelady was, "I think your fake eyelashes are messing up your reading." That is what she said. I think your fake eyelash, and that's obviously engaging in personalities. It's an ad hominem attack, and I would just ask every member of this committee, in a fair-minded way, would you want to be talked to in that way about your personal appearance by another member of the committee? Because what we're doing is we're setting standards going forward.
And more nothing. Can we please do anything?
A simple apology, Ms. Greene.
Look, here, I will say this. For committee decorum, we're not supposed to engage in personalities of members. That applies to everyone on both sides of the aisle. Mr. Boskowitz, Ms. Greene, every single member across the aisle. Can we?
What did he say?
He just threw Moskowitz into it for now.
Can we? Are we? Can we proceed?
The motion belongs to the gentlelady from New York, Ms. Ocasio-Cortez.
Okay, the clerk.
I don't remember that.
Back to order. The clerk will report. The stenographer.
Mr. Chairman, there was a lot of over-talking, but as far as we can make out, and you can remove your false eyelashes too.
Okay.
Damn.
Well, let's have a vote on that, because I honestly don't think there's a member in this committee who would think we should descend to that level of discourse here, other than one, perhaps. I'm sorry? You agree it should be taken down, Mr. Dons?
Mr. Raskin, the gentlelady from Georgia already said that she would strike down her words. What else are we doing past that point? I didn't realize apologies were a matter of...
It's an agreement.
The suggestion was made to the minority that rather than go through the process of formally taking her words down, which means she wouldn't be able to speak for the rest of our hearing, as you know, that she could continue to speak, but she would voluntarily take her words down and offer a sincere apology.
I'm going to rule, overrule the point of order. It wasn't personalities. It was undecorous. And I would encourage, again, every member to abide by committee decorum And let's vote. We all know what we're here for. You're either going to vote for it or
Mr.
against it.
Chairman.
And the lady from Georgia has 4 minutes and 21 seconds
Mr.
remaining.
Chairman, point of order.
I appealed the ruling of the chair, Mr. Chairman, because the rules provide that you cannot insult another member's personal appearance or attire. And that is obviously part of engaging in personalities.
Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman.
Hold on. We have so many motions. We're sitting here trying to. All right, there's now a motion to table Mr. Raskin's motion.
No, but I was appealing your motion.
The motion by Mr. Perry, seconded by
I don't believe
Mr.
you can
Gosar.
table motion. I
All
don't believe
those
you
in
can table.
favor?
It's not eligible to
This is-
table. It's not eligible to table.
We can table
There's
the appeal.
nothing getting
We
done.
can table the appeal.
I don't know if we can table. Is
The
it
underlying
privilege to
motion.
strike?
We can table the appeal. There's a motion and second to table the appeal.
Okay, just to be clear, your ruling was that she had not engaged in personalities?
Mr. Chairman,
your
when do
ruling?
I have my
I said-
4 minutes and 21 seconds?
I've already ruled.
Mr. Chairman, point of order.
All right, so
No, there's a motion to vote on. It's not debatable. Motion by Mr. Perry, seconded by Mr. Gosar to table. All those in favor of tabling signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, no.
No.
Motion passes to table. Now,
move for the
Chair
ayes and the nays.
recognizes Ms. Green.
I want to move for the ayes, a recorded vote.
A recorded vote to table has been requested. The clerk will call the roll.
Oh my God.
Chair recognizes Ms. Green. Motion table. Now the chair recognizes Ms. Green for 4 minutes and 21 seconds.
Mr. Chair, point of order.
Who's
It's me.
Ms. Crockett?
I'm just curious, just to better understand your
Here it
ruling.
is.
If someone on this committee then starts talking about somebody's bleach blonde, bad built butch body, that would not be engaging in personalities, correct?
A what now?
Chairman, I make a motion to strike those words.
I don't think that's
Hold
a
on.
I'm
parliament.
trying to find clarification on what qualifies.
Chairman, motion to
I
strike
had no
those
idea
words.
what you just said.
We're not gonna
Butch
do this.
body's
Look,
what
you guys
hits the
earlier
hardest.
literally just.
You just voted to do
Y'all
it.
did it first, so you don't want to talk about it.
voted to do it.
Order.
I'm trying to get clarification.
Look at, calm down. Calm down.
No, because this
I
is
would
what
like to
y'all
get
do.
through proceedings.
So I'm trying
Hey,
to get
Ms.
clarification.
Crockett, you're not
Y'all wanna
recognized.
play
Ms.
games,
I can't hear
Crockett.
you with your
and
yelling.
You don't want
Calm
me to
down.
Be,
Can
no,
you please calm down?
Don't tell me to calm down.
Calm down.
Because y'all
Please
talk
calm
noise,
down.
and then you
You're
can't
out of
take
control.
Because if I
Look,
come,
Chairman,
if I
can we
come
send
and
her
talk
outside to
shit
take a
about
break
her,
for 5
y'all
minutes?
gonna have a problem.
Chairman, Mr.
Order.
Chairman.
All right,
Sorry.
chair.
I don't know why
Okay.
you're
Order.
acting
Chair
like
now
that.
recognizes
Not cute.
Ms. Green for 4 minutes and 21 seconds.
Oh,
4
no.
minutes. Let Ms. Green talk, and then you all can. I'll recognize.
that's what we need
I
more
move
of.
to
is
strike her
talking.
words for a second time based on her second set of personal remarks attacking another member.
Who?
Chairman Comer.
Because you all cannot
I have an
seem
amendment at
to
the desk,
apply
and this
the rules
sideshow
of the
needs to
committee.
stop.
We have to do this every time.
Okay, I'm recognized.
This has been, how long has this been going on? This has been going on, this spiel specifically, since 47 it looks like. So this has been going on ever since she said this for, well, near, I think around 30 minutes now. They've done nothing for 30 minutes but debate Marjorie Taylor Greene's continued derailing of the committee hearing.
Recognize. I'm going to go ahead and start talking.
Look, I know. Look, I don't know if you've noticed it. I have 2 hearing aids. I'm very deaf. I'm not understanding. Everybody's yelling. I'm doing the best I can. Can we not recognize Ms. Green and let her
We
get?
cannot because of the rules of the committee, Mr. Chair. That is what I'm trying to communicate in the present moment.
We have a Okay, what's the motion?
The motion is to strike the gentlelady's words for the second set of remarks, not the first, the second.
She
that
has
apply
no
to
idea.
me.
She has no idea.
Anna moves first.
I think, Mr. Chairman, I'm the
know
only
what the
one
words
recognized
were?
right now.
But we objected at the time.
Will the member state the word she wishes
Yes.
struck?
She told me, or she asserted that I was not intelligent. These are the specific words. They're like, we can have it read by the clerk.
Now, if that's okay to say, that's fine, but I want every single Democrat to come up with a new insult for Marjorie Taylor Greene's intelligence before every statement in this committee hearing. Like Neanderthal, window licker, doorknob sucker, just everything. Like if it's true that you can, if that's not personality, then
Burns is an immoral, morally corrupt.
Kami Kev 666. Thank you for the tier 1 sub. You think Russia will make actual gains, or more of the slowly taking a village here and there? More of the secondary, at least for the next month to 2 months, as it takes more time for Western aid to get there. At least that's what I think will happen. Yes. I think the biggest city that's probably at immediate risk of falling is Vovchansk and Chasiv Yar, both cities of about 20,000 pre-war.
It was made immediately.
And it was made immediately. I am not moving now.
I don't think it was
I am not
timely.
moving
It was made immediately, both by the gentlelady and by me.
Mr. Chair,
look.
it was made immediately.
It was made
and
immediately,
you said
both by
that
the
you would
gentlelady and by
return
me.
to us.
Guys,
She said, you don't have the intelligence to talk to me, is what she said.
the chair recognizes Ms. Greene for 4 minutes and 21 seconds.
Mr. Chair, what
So they just straight up ignored her. They're just not. He's trying his best, Mr. Comer. He hears bad.
I object to the ruling now.
We must object.
I mean, if you want to take it up.
Just move on.
Yeah.
Move on.
We should just adjourn.
Yeah.
Can somebody?
You can't say I
Yeah.
object because of
I was-
or hearsay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my God, are we gonna? They're still debating. I don't even want to hear any more of the back chatter. Let's just get through this. Oh my goodness.
All right. Back in order.
It's been over 30 minutes.
The committee will come back to order.
Why do they not adjourn? They voted to adjourn. All the Republicans voted against it.
The chair rules to strike the words that Ms. Greene said, where she said that Ms.
Oh, so she was right and you were wrong and you were just going to blare on past it and just ignore it. Okay, just notable. It seems like the objection worked.
Ocasio-Cortez.
But again, like the sooner we can move on from this, the better.
Said she lacked the intelligence to speak to her when, in fact, Ms. Ocasio-Cortez is a brilliant member of Congress.
Get anything on me.
No, we should be on the record with what was
Okay, we struck the words that she said, you're not intelligent. Are we good on that?
No.
The words have been struck.
No, it
no.
It was to take the words down.
Yeah, we're
Mr.
good.
Chairman.
Coleman, you're out of order. Listen.
Mr. Chairman, her motion was to take her words down, not to strike the words.
It was to strike the words. That's what Ms. Ocasio-Cortez asked.
Well,
Okay, now.
which is to take them down.
There's no such
Which is
thing.
to take them down.
Which is to take them down.
Which is to take them down. They've been taken down.
All right, then that means that Ms. Greene has to leave the committee. She cannot
Mr.
speak
Goldman,
any-
you're out of order. Now,
That is true. If the words have been struck and have been taken down, then that does mean that Marjorie Taylor Greene can't speak for the rest of the committee hearing. That's how it works, because that means it's been confirmed that there was a violation of the rules. Isn't that the case? Oh my God, is that actually what happens?
Let's comply with the quorum. The chair recognizes
Mr. Chairman.
Ms. Greene for
her words were taken down.
No, her words were taken down. That means she
They're
cannot
not going to let her
The
speak.
chair
They're not going to let her. And they're right. And they're right.
She cannot speak in this hearing.
They're right about the process. Dude, this committee chairman seems to... Look, there's a lot of rules in these committees, so I don't want to give Comer too much, blood about, not knowing all the rules and specifics. But he particularly fumbling today, but I wouldn't know how to corral these people either.
Talk to your parliamentarian. She has to get out.
She has to get out.
Without a motion under unanimous consent, the gentlelady is not permitted to speak for
Chairman.
the rest of this session.
Damn.
And we're happy to revive our motion to adjourn, Mr. Chairman.
He just said we
I
can
think
still
these
close.
17-hour days might not work for us.
You're out of order. Now, I want everyone.
Wait, what just happened? Was there like a cut that I missed here?
Green.
Might not work for us.
Oh, okay.
Maybe showing up for a vote.
Something about working, huh?
Yeah, maybe showing up for a vote.
You have a lot to say, being that you're on retainer for the judge's daughter. Sorry, trust fund kid.
Mr. Chairman.
Is that Luna again?
We should strike those words too.
Luna is just like, Luna is just knockoff Marjorie Taylor Greene. Actually, no, even worse. She's knockoff Lauren Boebert, which is somehow worse.
You have a lot to say, being that you're on retainer for the judge's daughter. Sorry, trust fund kid.
Mr. Chairman.
We should strike those words too.
I hope you brought your popcorn.
Mr. Chairman,
strike
we have to
those
strike
after
those as
we
well.
strike the fact.
It never ends. Is honestly, you know, like that Dante's Inferno, like Circle of Hells. This is one of the circles of hell right here. Legislative hell for Congress people who have sinned during their life.
Fact that they called they were making comments about Marjorie's body. So we can do this all night long, but I have a motion.
Mr. Chairman, this is out of control. We should adjourn, Mr. Chairman.
Motion at the desk.
Mr. Chairman.
I think my body's pretty good at, I'm going to be 50
Point of order.
this month.
She's feeling a little conscious about the butch body comment.
I am. I turned 50.
Mr. Chairman.
Pretty good.
Mr. Chairman.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman,
Thank you. I appreciate that.
we have some members in the room who are drinking inside the hearing room who are not members of this hearing.
Mr. Chairman.
What?
Mr. Chairman, we have members who are not on this committee sitting in the hearing
We have
room
members talking who haven't been recognized. Mr. Chairman. Point of inquiry.
They just harassing him.
Mr. Chairman.
Democrats are against
Mr.
drinking.
Chairman.
Democrats are against drinking. What is this descended into?
Yeah.
What is this?
Mr. Chairman.
Water.
We're going to
There you go.
suspend.
What's
We're going to
happening?
suspend for 5 minutes while our staffs work the parliamentary questions out. So this committee has
Mr.
suspended
Chairman.
for 5 minutes. It'd be a good time for everyone to go out and take
Can
a
we
break.
apologize to the
Get some
American
fresh
people
air.
back home
5
first?
minutes.
That would be really
Committee
great.
will
Can we
reconvene in 5
apologize
minutes.
Sorry,
to
we are that we're
America?
not.
Can we apologize to America first? Can we apologize for America first? Oh my God. And then there was a break. I'm sorry. This is too entertaining. We're watching more. I just gotta see if Marjorie Taylor Greene gets kicked out or not. No, she doesn't. She gets to speak. Whatever.
All right.
You are a model.
The committee will reconvene. Members are advised they must observe the House's standard of decorum in debate and conduct. They must speak and act respectfully and may not use disorderly words or unparliamentary language, such as words that negative towards their colleagues or engage in personalities towards the president or senator. Does that count for a former president? Senator. Okay, all right. So
Does it count for a former president? I actually don't know if it counts for a former president.
And the chair, I move that the gentlelady from Georgia be permitted to proceed in order.
And I would object and ask for a recorded vote.
Mr. Raskins requested a recorded vote for my motion to allow the gentlelady from Georgia to proceed.
But again, if it was struck because she violated, doesn't she not get to talk? Then how it works? Like, either way, it doesn't matter. She'll just like yap later on her podcast or something anyway. But just saying, if we're being process hawks here,
I vote yes.
they're voting to
Clerk will call the
override
roll.
it. Got you. Okay.
Mr. Jordan. Mr. Turner.
Oh my God, this is taking so much time.
Vote Mr. Turner. Mr. Mason. Mr. Mr.
Oh my gosh.
Okay.
Okay, to be clear, this started at 47. If I remember correctly. Yes, it was about 47, right here. and it's now 1:30. It's been 50 minutes. It's been like this for 50 minutes.
The clerk can tally the report.
Mr. Chairman, on this vote, the ayes are 22, the nays are 20.
The motion passes. Now recognize Ms. Greene for 4 minutes and 21 seconds.
Remember, all the Republicans just voted, I think except for 2, just voted in favor of the idea that what you're about to hear was so important that her violation of committee rules did not matter, had to be overruled, so she could say what you're about to hear. Just for frame of reference.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We're here tonight to hold Merrick Garland in contempt of Congress, and there has been complaint and complaint after complaint from the other side of the aisle. Now, I'd like to remind everyone that the American taxpayers were forced to pay millions and millions of dollars for the January 6th committee last Congress, who was convened during prime time, evening hours, and they hired an ABC News executive, James Goldston, to produce these committee hearings. Actually had the American taxpayers pay for this. And Democrats are complaining about our committee hearing this evening. I'd also like to remind everyone that during the 117th Congress...
Well, I would also say that the the January 6th committee hearing at least had important enough stuff to talk about that it didn't descend into personal insults for over an hour. I will say that.
Congress, we would vote until 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning, many, many times, late at night. And that was when Democrats controlled the House. But the worst thing about the January 6th committee is that the Speaker...
Flemmy got a Tier 3 subscription.
Hey, Flemmy.
If they tighten up and remove some of the dead space, this could be on TV.
Absolutely.
For sure.
Absolutely. You just put commercial breaks where he takes little breaks, and you've got it. You've got primetime entertainment, man. Actually. C-SPAN would do good in the debate sphere, man. If C-SPAN would just cover stuff like this.
Broke her own rules. When she produced this committee, created the committee, the minority leader appointed members of Congress to this committee, and they were denied being able to participate on the January 6th committee. This committee operated against the rules of Congress. It was procedurally defective. And today, right now, Peter Navarro is sitting in jail because he was held in contempt of Congress. And also, Steve Bannon has been held in contempt of Congress.
That's because Steve Bannon and Peter Navarro don't have executive privilege. They're not the president of the United States. They're one's a lawyer for a crook, and the other is a man who wants nothing more than to crush everything good about American institutions.
And could go to jail soon. Those are the consequences of when the Democrats controlled the House. They broke the rules. And the consequences are people have gone to jail, and they may soon go to jail. And tonight we're here to hold Merrick Garland in contempt of Congress. And this committee needs to be able to proceed forward to do that. I'd also like to remind the committee and anyone watching this that every single time we hold a committee hearing in Oversight Committee, the Democrats attack President Trump repeatedly.
Wow.
Doesn't matter what the issue is, doesn't matter what the topic is, they can't produce facts. They can't produce anything to make their arguments. They make it about personal character attacks.
You did the personal character attacks and then garnered this reaction because nobody likes to have physical comments made, especially before the whole country in an important committee hearing or supposedly important committee hearing.
On the former president of the United States and our Republican presidential candidate. Every single time they attack President Trump.
Well, the attacks usually have to do with his political work and scandals, not his eyelashes. I mean, I guess the closest you could get was their comments of him falling asleep during his trial. I guess that's close.
They think the way to win an argument is to attack President Trump. You talk about character attacks, it goes on and on. Also, members of this committee attack me repeatedly, over and over and over again, constantly. But they're offended when I say something back. And I think this needs to be called out, Mr. Chairman, because the hypocrisy is screaming and the American people watch it every single day.
I'm sure the American people care very much about the mean comments people have made about Marjorie Taylor Greene outside the committee hearing or the critique she's received. You made comments about her body. You made comments about her eyelashes. That has nothing to do with Merrick Garland. It has nothing to do with any of these topics. If they were in there saying like Marjorie Taylor Greene is a fat cow, or Marjorie Taylor Greene looks like she's been out in the sun for a little bit too long, like there's a bunch of like different insults that could be thrown that would obviously garner a negative reaction, would garner protests, but it's fine because it was a Democrat that you went after her bodily appearance. It's just nonsense. It's absolute nonsense. The critiques you receive on a personal level, or the critiques of your policy or positions or the things you say, are not the same as attacks on physical appearance. I don't know anybody's ever attacked Marjorie Taylor Greene's physical appearance in this committee. I don't know if I've ever heard or seen anybody attack the physical appearance of anybody else on the committee before. So, I mean, outside of the committee might be one thing, and I mean, you could still say that's not good, it's not for decorum, but it's not in the committee, and the committee has rules.
And I will not apologize for my words, and I will not change them. And I will not tolerate being treated this way constantly.
So to be clear, we overrided the rule that would stop her from speaking because she violated the rules, and we've overrid it so she could say that she's not sorry for breaking the rules. Just to be clear what's happening here, that is what's happening.
On this committee and in other committees. And I think that we need, if we're going to hold hearings like this and hold Merrick Garland in contempt of Congress, I think we should move forward and go ahead and do that. But the actual behavior that happens across the aisle in this committee of constant attacks on President Trump are unbelievable. And attacks on President Trump, the weaponized government against President Trump. I want you to know something. He may be sitting in a New York courtroom with a sham trial with a political judge whose daughter works for Democrats. But I'll tell you right now.
Again, the fact that their daughter works for Democrats doesn't mean anything. It doesn't mean anything necessarily about the judge themselves and whether they can judge them in the trial. Like, if the idea is anybody with family members who are engaged in politics cannot work as judges with politicians on trial, then I mean, that's like, or what about like just political opinion? What if we found out that her daughter was a mega liberal on Twitter? That probably would be enough too, wouldn't it? For you to object. So just talk about the judge themselves, not their family members. Hey, IRI, thank you so much for the raid. I appreciate it. I don't think I'm going to be streaming for too much longer, but I'll raid for a bit longer because you guys raided, and I appreciate all the new Twitch viewers. Welcome, everybody. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Come on in. We're watching the Neanderthal bang against the cage bars.
Now, President Trump is up 10 points in Georgia because the American people see this for exactly what it is.
Why are we saying 10 points specifically in Georgia? You only be talking about where he's polling nationally, or is it because the polling data doesn't look good like that anymore, and now Biden's actually like up 2 points nationally, so you have to focus on specific states? Trump never won the popular vote. Good chance he's not going to win it again, no matter what the outcome is.
They know what it is. And it's completely wrong. And the fact that our American people's hard-earned tax dollars were spent on the January 6th committee with no accountability is wrong too. I think Democrats should be held accountable for that and the wrongs that they've committed, and the fact that Peter Navarro is in jail right now and Steve Bannon may have to go to jail soon. And Mr. Chairman, I would ask that we can go ahead and move forward as soon as possible to hold Merrick Garland in contempt of Congress. Thank you.
Gentlelady yields. Does any other member seek recognition? Mr. Garcia.
The focus of this hearing should be whether or not the audio tapes are covered by executive privilege, because that is the basis upon which the Biden administration is not turning over the audio tapes. And we only heard very briefly at the start of this, Mr. Comer respond to this saying, no, because they've released the transcript, which I haven't heard that before, why that would count. Why aren't we focusing on that? That would be what you would focus on if you wanted to say this is why the transcript should be, why the audio tapes need to be put out. You would want to focus on the argument of criminality that could actually make it so you could hold Merrick Garland in contempt of court. Or what's going to happen is you're going to push through contempt of court through committee, which they did, and then pass it through the Congress. Maybe pass it, maybe don't. But if you do pass it, then it's just going to be passed and then it's going to stop there. Because it certainly isn't going to go any further than that. And if you've got nothing criminally on Merrick Garland, then you're just going to hold him in contempt in Congress and then no criminal charges will ever be brought. And that'll be the end of it. It'll be nothing more but performance. That's where it'll start and that's where it'll end.
Well, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Tonight has been very interesting. I want to just take a moment just to put today in context. We're here right now at this late hour to accommodate the majority's field trip to praise their leader. And let's not forget that he left office in disgrace. Yes, gentle lady from Georgia, we're going to talk about that Donald Trump who stole classified materials and stored them in his bathroom. He was investigated and indicted for his crimes. Now, Attorney General Garland set up a parallel investigation of President Biden's handling of classified documents as well. And that shows the Department of Justice is actually fair and independent. So to oversee this investigation, he appointed Robert Hur, a former U.S. attorney handpicked by Donald Trump. Robert Hur found no wrongdoing by President Biden. No wrongdoing by President Biden. But he chose to smear President Biden with a totally unprofessional and wrong assessment of the president's age and mental sharpness. Now, as we know, his assessment about President Biden was wrong because you can literally yourself read the transcript, which is over 250 pages long. Now, many of us, especially us Democrats, know the president. He is sharp. He is focused on the big issues. He's dealing with large challenges across the world. Now, the majority is hyping up this issue to distract us from the fact that Donald Trump keeps embarrassing himself in public. And as much as the gentle lady from Georgia and others may not like it, we know that Trump's public statements have been crazy and incoherent for years. And we know that he is too tired and sleepy to stay awake through his own criminal trial.
Here it comes.
It's not President Biden who's not sharp. It's, in fact, Donald Trump. Now, let's look at public reporting. I'm only going to talk about public reporting. His criminal trial started on April 15th.
I like that one of the main themes of the 2024 election is whose old man is more old.
And here's a summary of the press reports. On his first day of his trial, Reuters reported that Trump appeared to doze off during jury selection. On April 16th, it was reported that Trump dropped his head inside the courtroom, keeping his eyes closed before jolting his head upright.
Dude, if this, honestly, can I be for real with you? If this is a determination about, and I'm saying this while also acknowledging that Trump is an old man who's probably sleepy because he's also an old man. When I was 18, I think I was 17, I was working for the Maryland General Assembly. I was falling asleep on the Senate floor. I was working in the Senate. And I had the Senate President, Mike Miller, swing a cane at me to wake me up so I can get him some coffee, because that's my job as a page, because they were having a big debate on clam regulation. And man, you've never been bored until you had to sit through a debate on clam regulation.
The New York Times reported Trump's eyes remained, quote, closed for extended periods during the final day of jury selection. On April 22nd, MSNBC reported that Trump's lawyers were fighting to keep him awake. On April 30th, NBC and the New York Times reported that Trump nodded off for significant portions of witness testimony, and as we all know, basically kept his eyes closed for hours and hours on end. On May 9th, Trump's eyes remained closed for many minutes, and Trump later, of course, dozed on and off. And the reports go on and on. May 13th, Trump was, quote, asleep during the afternoon session. On May 14th, a political reporter said,
none of this is in relation to Merrick Garland, but that's way out the door at this point.
Trump slouched in his seat and closed his eyes and his mouth. Now, here we have a photo of Donald Trump, of course, through some of his trial.
I mean, I think it's tied to it through the idea that the audio recordings are supposed to show Biden to be an old man. But hey, look, you've got the old man too, or even maybe even somebody who could be acting like an older man. And that's the debate now.
And I bring this up because it's Donald Trump that's asleep and that's hurting and dividing our country. And this attack on President Biden.
I'm sorry, that's funny. I like that line. It's Donald Trump who's asleep and it's hurting our country. Wake up, Trump, the country's dying.
His mental acuteness or his ability or his age is completely just a reason and an excuse for the Republicans to continue to attack President Biden when we all know that Donald Trump is the one that's unfit to be president. And that's why the majority is so desperate to be here today, because they want to help him get elected and hurt President Biden. Well, it's not going to work. And with that, I yield back.
Gentleman yields back. I now recognize myself first to offer an amendment. The clerk will distribute the amendment to all members. No, we're not done. We're not done. I'm just going to do an amendment, and then we'll have all the debate we want. And I know Mr. Goldman has an amendment he wants to offer. Ms. Luna has an amendment. And
The first part for the amendment.
We can go back to time on the ANS.
yeah, we can go back.
Hey, if you ever get at this point where you have death anxiety, which is something that I struggle with due to my employment and just it usually peaks in your early to mid 20s. A good practice I would give you is if you've ever been afraid of death, watch this committee hearing. It will make you yearn for it and make you realize how much of a hellscape just the endless pushing of the boulder can be, which this is what this committee hearing is for me. It's just pushing up a boulder in a circle of hell.
Everybody will have an opportunity to talk. We're just going to go ahead and do the amendment in nature substitute. The clerk, does everyone have a copy?
My gosh. Dude, he's watching hockey, man. That dude on the right is just watching the hockey game.
The clerk, does everyone have a copy? Okay,
Come on.
Ms. Boebert, I have to allow people to speak on the ANS if they want right now, so I will recognize you for 5 minutes. Ms.
Thank you,
Boebert.
Mr. Chairman. First,
I think that's Dan Goldman, I think.
I just want to apologize to the American people.
I mean, I can't really blame him after watching that. Maybe if this was a more serious hearing, but he's going through paperwork. He's doing something, I guess. Could be watching worse things.
People, I don't think that this is the best use of our time when we are squabbling. It's one thing to have fun and laugh as members of Congress and try to find humor or some sort of lightheartedness in what we are doing. But when things get as heated as they have, it's unfortunately an embarrassment on our body as a whole.
I'm not going to hear anything about embarrassing Congress from Miss Beetlejuice, who couldn't stop herself from groping a man in an open theater while vaping and making her. I'm not going to hear it from her. Didn't she get into a fist fight with Marjorie Taylor Greene in a bathroom in Congress that had to be broken up? Word is that Boebert got the better of Marjorie, by the way, for anybody interested. But that's just rumor.
And so I just want to personally apologize to the American people for that. But we are here to hold Attorney General Merrick Garland in contempt of Congress for ignoring subpoenas and believing that he is above the law.
Well, no, it would be more Biden saying that he has executive privilege. Also, you cannot both argue that Donald Trump can do whatever he wants while president because he was president, saying that president should be basically above the law, which is Trump's legal argument. And it's kind of crazy to say that out loud, but Trump's legal argument is that there should be no checks and balances on the president when it comes to the judicial system. If he does it, it's legal because he's the president. It's a pretty aggressive form of unitary executive theory, I guess. But if you argue that, you cannot also argue it is illegal for Biden to claim executive privilege and not release the audio. Just saying.
We simply want to hear what was said in the interview that was transcribed. Yes, we have the transcriptions, but the White House has recently edited President Biden's mistakes by labeling them, quote, inaudible in transcripts. The committee members must be able to assess for themselves that the transcripts accurately reflects the true content.
Again, 99.9% chance it's just Biden fumbling on his words, and all we're gonna get from this is just like campaign ads. Like, I mean, maybe you could use it to try to better determine Biden's mental acuity, but that would be its own goal. That wouldn't be part of an investigation to find criminality. That'd be part of an investigation to find out if Biden, how old of an old man is Joe Biden, which is outside the bounds of what the special investigation by her was supposed to look into.
Of the interviews. Now, the American people, fortunate or unfortunate, have heard Joe Biden speak for over 3 years now. Really, if you include the campaign, about 4 years. And we have witnessed in real time a massive cognitive decline. President Trump, when he was in office, he underwent testing for his cognitive dissonance, for his ability to function.
Look, how many of these do I need to list off? He called the president of Iraqi Kurdistan Mr. Kurd. He got the Balkans confused with the Baltics when he went to the Baltic states and asked them about the civil war they had. And then they looked at him very confused because the Baltic states didn't have a civil war. They're different countries. And it was because he confused the Yugoslav civil war in the Balkans with the Baltics. There's other instances where he said we shouldn't support the Kurds because the Kurds weren't with us on D-Day. The time he said that a hurricane was going to hit states that it wasn't going to hit. And so what he did is he took out a Sharpie and like drew it out to make it look like it hit those states. Tons and tons of fumbling. Like him, I think he was referring to, it was Hillary Clinton being in charge of Capitol security. I'd have to go back and check, but like fumble after fumble. And he's been fumbling more recently, as of recent. Just getting basic facts wrong. Just kind of dribbling off on his words. It's just, if your argument is Biden old, my response is Trump also old. Like, Trump fumbles on his words all the time. And like when he fumbles, he'll like confuse like civil wars that didn't even happen in a country. Like, the worst thing I've seen Biden do when it comes to like actual impact on the job is when he got confused about who the current French president was and brought up Mitterrand. That's something that I could imagine under certain circumstances possibly having an effect on the job. If he was being asked about French policy and he just completely didn't know it and he thought it was a previous president. But I mean, I've gotten confused with that too. Who was a world leader I recently got confused with? It was on yesterday's stream. I thought they were still in power, but they weren't in power. They were the last person I knew that was in power. I forget. But point is, it's a mistake that I've made too.
As President of the United States, as the Commander-in-Chief. And unfortunately, I haven't seen Joe Biden even read a teleprompter properly and
fumbled
through the reading without also adding in what's in the brackets when he needs to take a pause.
He's done that, but I think Trump's done that too.
And there are many things that we could go on here.
I've also done that in recordings.
But I want to hear the inflections in Joe Biden's responses when he is answering these questions.
So we're literally just listening for Biden's tone. We're listening for Biden's tone to determine mental acuity. Okay, that's a nice idea, but again, has nothing to do with the investigation into criminality.
Now, on February 27th, 2024, the Oversight Committee issued a subpoena for relevant information regarding the special counsel's investigation, including the transcript and any recordings of the special counsel's interviews with President Biden in October of 2023. Now, to date, the Department of Justice has refused to provide the committee the audio recordings. It's a very simple request. It can be provided at any time, but maybe, just maybe, this administration that has tried to cover up so much and tried to physically lift up Joe Biden and keep him upright is hiding.
I don't even know what she's talking about now.
Even more. So we just want to hear how that interview actually went. I am in favor of moving forward to hold Attorney General Merrick Garland in contempt.
Again, the main argument here should be about how it isn't covered about executive privilege. Nobody except for Comer very briefly at the start mentioned that, and he wasn't particularly convincing at all.
Congress. I think there are many other things that we need to have him in for. And
the only example I saw was like the Nixon example, which I mean, it's not a really good parallel, but I mean, it's something. Like, can we not hear some people extrapolate more on that so I can get more details?
Move forward on in holding him accountable. I mean, he's gone after so many American citizens, moms and dads who attend school board meetings.
That's true. Joe Biden did make that concentration camp for PTA moms.
Those of the Catholic faith.
Oh, they were right next to the Catholic concentration camps that Joe Biden made as a Catholic.
The DOJ
as an Irish Catholic.
Has been completely weaponized.
Flemmy gifted 5 tier 1.
Hey!
Wow, Biden GOG something about the French wrong? Based.
Whatever the French are wrong on, they're wrong on always, okay? Whatever people have accused them of being wrong on, they're right. Chat Rex, thank you so much. Oh, Flemmy, thank you so much for gifting a sub to Chat Rex, to Zirin, to Romankus, to Sam B. Berry 36, and Large Haas 45. You also gifted a tier 3 earlier, making you the top donator and subber for tonight's pretty long stream. We're almost hitting the 6-hour mark, so thank you for being my top donator for today. I do appreciate it. Thank you, Flemmy. Longtime supporter of the channel, longtime financer of independent media.
And it's very sad for our country. But this hearing will continue. We have many amendments. I'm sure there will be much dialogue. Hopefully, there is some decorum on both sides of the aisle. And if in my remaining 1 minute, I could request, every so often, Mr. Garcia, maybe you could just lift up that picture of our President Trump sleeping.
This clip again.
As you say, I
So
think
creepy.
he's praying. But if he is sleeping, he certainly looks pretty while he sleeps. Maybe it's an endearing moment of prayer, though. I know when I fall asleep on airplanes, my mouth kind of drops open, and his mouth is kind of tight-lipped. So maybe it's just a somber moment of
I mean,
thought.
he's sleeping. It's been reported by multiple press outlets.
I was in the
that he's
courtroom
actually
today,
sleeping.
and I could see why someone would fall asleep, just like George Conway fell asleep today.
Again, he's not asleep, but if he was asleep, that was cool.
Court hearing, it's kind of slow in there. It's not as exciting as the House Oversight Committee, but I just wanted to say.
I mean, it's like slightly funny. It's not really important at all if he fell asleep, but I don't really understand it's like if I was to be like, Jamal Bowman, fire alarm, never heard of it. Like, come on. It's obvious.
That's a lovely picture you have of President Trump, Mr. Garcia. Thank you. And I yield.
Gentlelady yields back. Does any other member wish to speak on the underlying? Mr. Goldman.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. In preparing for this markup, I wanted to do a little bit of work to understand why the Oversight Committee is trying to hold the Attorney General of the Department of Justice in contempt. The Oversight Committee does not have jurisdiction over the Department of Justice. The Judiciary Committee does, and I understand the Judiciary Committee held a markup of their own today on the same exact contempt motion. And so I thought, oh, well, let's take a look at the impeachment investigation. It must be coming from that. So I looked at the impeachment resolution that was passed on December 13th, 2023, HRes 918, and it refers to a memorandum dated September 27th, 2023 from the three chairs that was entitled Impeachment Inquiry. It's 30 pages long, this memorandum, and there isn't a single mention of classified documents or Special Counsel Robert Hur or Joe Biden possessing classified documents. And so, Mr. Chairman, I would ask what on earth we are doing here in the Oversight Committee when we have no jurisdiction to be holding the Attorney General in contempt. And I'll happily yield to you if you would like to respond. Doesn't want to respond.
I'll respond.
What was that? What was that expression from the chairman? Can we look at that again?
doesn't.
What is that? His face looks so tiny right now. Like aged Charlie Kirk.
Want to respond?
I'll respond.
Go ahead, Mr.
Yeah,
Gosa.
we actually set the precedent in.
See, I'm not on the committee. They can't hold me. And they can't strike my words from the record.
I'll respond.
Go ahead, Mr.
Yeah,
Gosa.
we actually set the precedent in my first term, our second term, in regards to holding Mr. Holder accountable in contempt in this very office or this very committee. And
yeah, but that was related, Mr. If I may just reclaim my time, that was related to an investigation that this committee was doing. What the special counsel was investigating has nothing to do with anything that this committee is investigating. I understand that the impeachment investigation that you all ran was such a massive flop and a bust that you would like to try to distract from that complete humiliation. But doing so outside of your jurisdiction is probably not the best way to do it. And in reality, not only was this absurdly postponed so some people could go prostrate themselves in front of their dear leader today in New York, and we are now at 10 o'clock at night, but we have absolutely
It was supposed to be like in the AM, and it's 10 o'clock at night that this end. That is a hell of a delay. Like an hour, 2 hours, I can imagine that. They delayed it for the whole day.
Reason to be here. We have no jurisdiction over this matter. It was properly in front of the Judiciary Committee. The Judiciary Committee will do what they want to do over there in the Department of Justice. But it is truly a reflection, an unfortunate reflection, of how desperate the chairman is to distract from what was a monumental bust of an impeachment investigation.
Would the gentleman yield for a question?
So, not quite yet, Mr. Biggs. I'll get to you.
Thanks.
And so I would urge the chairman to explain to all of us what, other than pure distraction from the impeachment investigation that seems to be over now, as to why we are here at 10 o'clock at night marking up something over which we have no jurisdiction. Mr. Biggs, happy to yield to you.
Thank you. Thanks so much. And Mike, I guess my question is on your jurisdiction.
Question with a question.
Your position that we lack jurisdiction. I'm wondering if you would what you think of Rule 10 of the committee's jurisdiction, and also.
Well, I don't have Rule 10 memorized, Mr. Biggs.
We'll take a look at it because it says. Let me see if I can just give you a slight.
Go ahead and read it, just like you can read the transcript.
Yeah. Well, I would prefer actually seeing the audio of the transcript, hearing the audio of the transcript. Anything at any time. That's the language that's used in Rule 10. Take a look. It might be helpful when you're making a lack of jurisdiction argument. The other thing is.
What is anything at any time, Mr.
Take a look in Rule 10. I think you'll change your position. Let me ask you this other question.
Would the gentleman yield?
Well, I'll reclaim my time and yield to Mr. Raskin.
I wanted to thank the gentleman from New York for his trenchant remarks here. Would you think it's fair to say that it's not only way outside of our jurisdiction, but it's also redundant, given that the Judiciary Committee, which has jurisdiction, has already acted?
Well, of course. This is already going to go to the House floor, regardless of whatever we do. So it's a shame that this committee feels so desperate to latch on to some victory that we need to hold a completely redundant, unnecessary markup over something that we have no jurisdiction. Mr. Chairman, I
and
yield
the
back.
gentleman's time's expired. Does anyone else seek recognition? We have some amendments to be offered. Can we start with the amendment process? Is everybody okay with that? I will begin. I recognize myself.
Okay.
To first offer an amendment. The clerk will.
Can we stop at the amendments process? Can we stop here? Because there's another hour here, and I don't see anything getting done productive, honestly. I'm done here. I think you're all done here. I appreciate you guys all tuning in. But yes, we got through 2 hours of the committee hearing. There's still an hour left. I tap out. I give up. Okay, I cry uncle. I cry uncle. This certainly was the worst I've seen a committee hearing in a very long time. Actually, I don't even know of a committee hearing I've seen descend into such frivolity, personal attacks, insults, attack on physical appearances, not just political record, not just political beliefs and dumb previous statements, but just how someone looks. Oh, your fake eyelashes, your butch, beach blonde butch body. I mean, oh my gosh. Not intelligent enough to debate me. Like this was degenerate in the purest sense of the word. It degenerated that committee hearing into something completely unproductive. It started at the 47-minute mark that it got the worst, but even at the start of the committee hearing, there was a question about, hey, can we shorten this debate? Like immediately they started debating about the debate before it got to the point where Marjorie Taylor Greene at the 47-minute mark made that comment about someone's appearance. And for the next 15 minutes to an hour, that's all it was. Pause after pause, point of inquiry after point of inquiry. 33% of this video that we know of is just them debating points of inquiry about Marjorie Taylor Greene's insult and then everything that followed it, including a second insult, a counter insult, and the back and forth. This is Congress at its worst. Mike Johnson is right, but also Mike Johnson, if you want to contribute to an environment that would be less politically toxic, I would say, number one, don't back somebody's coup attempt against American democracy. But also, if you want American politics less toxic, don't champion that same person helping to make it 10 times more toxic. But thirdly, get your dogs on a leash. Marjorie Taylor Greene goes out there, insults people, and then they overrule the rules of the committee to let her keep talking so she could just say she doesn't have forgiveness for the fact that she broke the rules of the committee after insulting people twice, so breaking the rule twice. I mean, at the end of the day, it's just words. It is what it is, but I'd much rather those words be about policy.